Don't adjust your headphones. Don't adjust your YouTube. You are in the right place. You are listening to Head Cannon Grabs. This is Downtown Brown. And today, this is an off the dome, but as you see, the setup is a little bit different. We've moved homes. My hand doesn't really allow me to do the same editing that I used to, and I'm the one who does it all here. So we've kind of switched up the whole way we're going to do things today. But we want to revisit one of our old videos. We talked about previewing All In Texas back in March, and so now we're gonna go back and I'm gonna give you a little preview of what I talked about prior to, and then check that video out on the back end on the channel. But then I'm gonna go and cover my new preview of what I think All In Texas is gonna look like. It's July 7th. It's 9 p.m. I'm not watching Monday Night Raw right now. I'm recording this instead because I'm excited for Texas. That's coming up this weekend, and we're going to talk about some other wrestling on another video coming up soon that's happening this weekend, and the struggles with evolution, and also, or the evolution problem, if you will, and also the effects of Saturday night's main event all being on the same weekend as that All In card. But to talk about my past card that I previewed, in my head, Swerve is going to beat Mox at Dynasty because Dynasty was Swerve's event. And I thought that Hangman was going to win the Owen and go to Texas to face Swerve, but to lose to Swerve in an exploding barbed wire death match. Because to me, those two are forever rivals. And when the story's always circling those two, I don't want them to ever fully solve those problems, really become friends. And that's where I was going with that. And to me, Osprey was going to win the Casino Gauntlet and go ahead to then challenge Swerve at Forbidden Door in London and then take the title off Swerve then. Swerve's second run didn't have to be the longest run, but I think it was going to be an action packed run with a lot of different title matches. His first defense being against MJF at Double or Nothing. That's what I had going on, but I digress. We move on to the TBS title. I had it Mercedes Monet versus Willow Nightingale, their Double or Nothing 2024 rematch. I love that match. And until I saw that street fight in Chicago at All Out between Willow and Chris Statlander, honestly, my favorite women's match in AEW. And that's changed now due to the Hollywood ending. But with that said, I thought Mercedes would drop that belt and finally have that first loss to Willow, somebody who deserves a homegrown star that in my past videos we were building up and getting her ready for this match. Well, that's not been the case this time, and we'll talk about where she's actually going now in the future. But for the women's world title, I had Tony Storm, the timeless one, still rocking and rolling against Athena. We were going break Athena all out of ROH, but she's gonna still be world champion, walking in to then defend that belt against Tony. Two winner take all matches. Yeah, you might say, oh, that's a cop out. We already got one. But I think the ring level of those matches and this happening, I think it could work. And I think Athena beats Tony to then bring herself fully over to AEW. That's what I initially thought. But going in a different direction. The Continental and International Championships, of course, I thought it was going to be Kenny and Okada. I didn't think at any point that they were going to lose those belts. That's too big of a match to not have. But for the Trios Championships, I predicted the Ops versus the champions, the Death Riders. Looks like the Ops already have the belt, but the Death Riders might be coming back for round two. It should just be a loss. I'm sorry. Death Riders don't need those belts back, but we'll get into that in the future. We'll get into I'm spoiling the future. Um and that hasn't even been announced yet, so who knows. But I had the AEW tag team titles being in a ladder match, a four-way ladder match. Teams being Christian and Cage. Because by that time, I thought of Christian and Cage. Good lord. Botchamania all over the place. Cope and Cage. Because I thought by the time here, we would have built their friendship up and got them together. The Hurt Syndicate as the champions. FTR. And the Bucks. I thought all four elements together create an exciting, wild, fun pace, almost Attitude Era esque ladder match that then you have Cope and Christian win. But I digress. One of them's in a tag match. One of them's not even on the card. Um, the Gauntlet Battle Royale. I had Jay White coming back to eliminate Konosuke Takeshita at the very end. I don't know Jay White's status. I hope to see him at this match, but we'll see. Um, the women's Casino Gauntlet match. I had Jamie Hayter winning that initially. Sad to see where she's at currently, and I hope she's getting better and recovering from her injury. All well wishes to her. I thought MJF needed to have a big match at this show, and I couldn't figure out really who I wanted to see him go against. But then I thought about what do I love out of MJF, and that's him on the mic. Who don't want to hear him going on the mic against? That's an Eddie Kingston for you. And so I had him and Eddie Kingston going at it last year for my card, and I had MJF winning. And lastly, two matches. Darby Allin, John Moxley, because by this point, Mox has no belt. Mox has no match. But you know what? He kept poking and prodding at Darby all last year, threw the man down a set of stairs. I think it was time for Darby to come get that back in blood. But I got an idea for that for later, so hold on to that. But lastly, I'm going with Kyle Fletcher versus Speedball Mike Bailey versus Ricochet, walking in as the TNT champion. Kyle Fletcher wins. I thought that would be a fun and amazing opener to just kick off the night with great matches. And that being the first, now, yeah, I might have way too many matches. I'd probably be asleep by the end of this card, but I thought it would have been a fun time. Not the card that we got. And so let's go ahead and transition into the card that we actually did get with. We have the AEW World Title match being Hangman Adam Page versus John Moxley in a Texas Death Match for the AEW World Championship. Not their first go around in a Texas Death Match, with the last match being Hangman hanging, literally using that namesake and hanging John Moxley with a chain to get Mox to tap at the very end. That has given me some fear. That's given me some pause. That can John Moxley 1-1 that now? I hope not, because Hangman prior to Swerve was undefeated in Texas Death Matches. You know what? Let that one little asterisk be Swerve. Mox, you going 0-2 against Hangman. It's time for you to get out of here. I've had enough of your reign. It's dragged me down. It's made me not want to watch AEW television. I'm just good on it. A fourth reign for John Moxley needs to be cut off. Another reign after that, I want to see him hold the belt for at least another 4 or 5 years. Every year he's had that belt should be a year off for him having it again. So on that fifth year, yeah, he can get that belt back. But until then, c'est la vie. Hangman Adam Page for the win. Now, Mercedes Monet, because she got that O, it just can't go. And I don't think it's time for her to lose to Tony yet. It's just Tony, it would probably destroy the division, but I would just have her drop the TNT title. I'd have the company forcibly remove that belt because it doesn't make sense for her to lose one and the other. And for her to go on this huge losing streak to a ton of people, just dropping belt after belt after belt, also doesn't make sense. But if you save that first loss for that world championship and we Ultimate Warrior this thing and we drop that TBS title, I'm cool with it because have a tournament for the TBS title. It gives your women something to do during this year. It gives us some stories and it gives that TBS title back to that division with an actual chance to see it swapping hands. Yeah, I get that you want to have it be surpassed and get over Jade's thing, but like also maybe let's not like erase everybody because they leave our company because they could come right back. Just because they go to the enemy company does not mean they cannot come back to your company and be a bigger star when they get back. The one that you created in the first place. I don't see anything wrong with it. So, with that being said, Mercedes wins, drops the TBS title after. That's where we're rocking and we're rolling. But now we're gonna look and move into the next set of cards, and I'm going with both casino matches. And so I have Darby Allen winning the men's, and my girl Willow winning the women's. And so here's my fear, and here's where my logic comes into this. I think the Death Riders will be looming over the winners of both of these matches. I talked about in my preview having a Darby Allen versus John Moxley match. Well, I think later on, whether that's at a Forbidden Door or an All Out, I think Darby Allen goes one on one with a John Moxley. And I would love to see Darby Allen also put his title shot up against John Moxley one more time. Yes, you cannot have Moxley beating, you can't have Darby beating Moxley for the title, but you can have Darby correcting the mistake of last year, of when he lost his title shot to Moxley in the first place, which kicked off the entire Death Rider storyline. You have Darby conquer a mountain. Now you come back and he conquers the Gauntlet Battle Royal, gets that title shot again, hangs on to it, beats John Moxley, and then he calls his shot later down the line. Does he take it off of a hangman? Yes, I do. I think he does with a coffin drop and an excellent match. Because I think Bobby Lashley will be murdering Darby Allen for that title. And I think that's going to be a crazy fun match to see. And with the women's side, I know I talked about Willow being in a TBS title match or in my past videos. And one video I had her going against Tony Storm. One video I had her going against Mercedes Monet to get the belt. I think she goes into this, and I think we now surpass that belt because one thing I'm keeping on track with my vision is Willow will be taking Mercedes O. That undefeated O that she has in the AEW will become a one thanks to Willow Nightingale. And I think that's for the world title. And so now we upgrade Willow. She just was in Anarchy in the Arena as a woman, taking on the men and having to deal with the Death Riders and supporting and flying the flag at AEW. It's now Willow's time to get that AEW Women's World Championship. We need to put a little more storyline seasoning on her, but that's all about the power of the pen. That's nothing about her in ring. That's nothing about what she's doing to me. Her as a star has grown, and watching her over these last 3 years in AEW has been amazing. And like as you see in the photo, one of my favorite women's wrestlers. I had to get a photo with her in Vegas. I got the shirt on. She's so cool. I bumped into her at the airport the second I got off the plane, and that made my WrestleMania experience almost more than WrestleMania itself. And so, with that being said, Willow Nightingale, Casino Gauntlet winner. And now we're going to move on to the next set of matches. And we're talking about the tag team triple threat, which has the Hurt Syndicate versus the Jets. I cannot remember how to say their name. Jet Speed, oof, and the Patriarchy. Good Lord Almighty. I don't think I like Saul Monster's idea of when he talked about Copeland coming back during this match, but I honestly don't want Cope to come back during this match. Because how I want this to go, I want Christian to take the fall in this match. And I want him to lose. And during this match, I want Kevin Knight just everywhere, all over the place. And you could have Jet Speed as a team doing that with Mike Bailey as well. But the story of this match is Kevin Knight. And because at the end, when they do not win the tag team titles and when the Hurt Syndicate get up and defend their belts, pinning Christian Cage, what they will do, because Shelton got pinned by Kevin, I think Kevin's also going to earn Bobby's respect, and they're going to offer him a spot in the Hurt Syndicate, and Kevin Knight's going to walk away with him at the end of this match. I think that's where we're going with this. And then you can have Edge and, Cope. I hate the name still, it's just awful. But you can have Cope and Cage chatted up on Dynamite in the next few weeks and build up to All Out in Toronto. But outside of that, I don't think he should come back in this match yet. Save it. save it for later. But Kevin Knight is going to be the fifth member, and I also think that's going to bring some hesitation and add some fear to MJF because, as you heard earlier, Darby Allin won that gauntlet, and now that means MJF has failed, but the Hurt Syndicate won, and everybody else is earning and getting respect and leveling up. What is MJF doing now? And so his time might be ticking with the Hurt Syndicate as a whole. But I think it just adds a different evolution to the story. And having a five-guy group, I don't think people are looking at Kevin Knight going into this group. But as somebody who they've been scouting talent, I think he's been one of the people that they've been looking at for a while now. And that leads me for one of my talking about scouting talent, growing talent. Kyle Fletcher has been somebody who's been grown and pushed at a great level and at a great pace. It's now time for him to get that singles title on AEW television proper. He's been a pure champion before. He's been tag champions. Now he's got to have that TNT title. And Adam Cole, though this is probably going to be an amazing match, I don't think Homie has really done much with the TNT title. You can tell I'm tired by the end of this. But yeah, he hasn't really done much with that TNT title. And because of that, I it's just time for it to end, and it's been Fletcher's time. I would have rather seen Fletcher go off the ROH World Title and maybe flip him and Takeshita in this spot, but I digress. I still like the fact that by the end of the weekend, the Don Callis family's two biggest stars, in Takeshita and Fletcher, could possibly have titles. And so let's rock with that because they both deserve it and they have been some of the hardest working and best performers in AEW for the last 2 years, bar none. But that leads me to talk about the last couple of matches on this card, and then we're going to get up out of here. And so let's chat about the unified belt, the unified championship match. Kenny Omega versus Okada. Kenny's winning. That's all I want to see. I want to see a great match. It's the first one on American soil. They've wrestled all across Japan. And these are some of the highest rated matches in wrestling history. These are some of the matches that have probably inspired an entire new generation that in about another 10 years we'll start to feel the impacts of these matches on the wrestlers that we see up and coming, but we've seen the impacts on talent today. And I think it's just going to be an amazing match to see live and in person. And that's what has me the most giddy about it. I don't really have much more to say. I just hope Kenny wins it, and that's it. Period. I would love to see a Kenny Osprey 3, but and for the unified belt. But I'm gonna say that not because they lost the tag match, but just because here's my thing, they don't need to lose that tag match. I hearing that stipulation of, oh, we won't challenge for a world title for another year, Osprey and Swerve, that is, and Swerve being mad. Yeah, you can give Swerve a heel turn out of this. You don't need to. When you showed that segment, you had three strong baby faces: Hangman, Osprey, Swerve. You add a fourth and Darby coming back, and your roster is going to be so strong. A fifth and Kenny, five strong big baby faces right there. That's all you need. And the Hurt Syndicate is basically a group of baby faces, even though they're all heels. So there you go. You would have a strong. You don't need to turn him heel. And I get that I've made the case of why you can turn him heel. No, 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 no. They do not need to lose this match to the Bucks. To me, if this was Hangman and Swerve in this tag team match, I'm actually good with them losing to the Bucks because that just adds a like a gasoline station's worth of gasoline on the fire. Hangman offering up Swerve's opportunity to wrestle for the belt, and then them not winning. Yeah, Swerve's gonna burn the world around Hangman down, and that adds to their narrative. But you mean to tell me you're gonna have a Hangman Adam Page world title reign after as many years as it's been, and you're gonna block off and cut off his best opponent for an entire year. And we know Hangman ain't holding on to that belt for an entire year. Get out my face, folk. Maybe he doesn't face Swerve with that belt at this point, but in my humble opinion, you don't block off the potential of one of your best feuds and the best Hangman feud that you actively have in the company currently. Yes, you were able to hold off the Okada Omega match for the time period that you were. You're able to still hold off on the Omega Osprey match for the time that you have, while they're all official AEW contracted wrestlers. I get all that, and you have Swerve under contract. I get, but let the man have the belt. When Moxley is walking around here with four reigns, and no, Swerve does not need to lose to the Bucks. Swerve does not need to turn heel. Swerve needs to win this match. Does not mean he needs to win the world title right away. But I am not putting that blocker on my one of my top champions, one of my top flag flyers. No way, no how. It makes a great story for Will Ospreay, but let's play this game. You block both of them. We get to the Owen Hart final next year, and it's those two facing off against each other. Animosity, anger, all that mixed in there. The match happens. Osprey goes on to All In. Swerve loses again. So if he's turned heel and now he's an angry heel on the end of this tournament, do you think he's gonna just let logically as a character, it doesn't make storyline sense for him to just let Osprey go win that belt now in London at Wembley. So just don't put all those factors in there. If it was a Hangman story, it makes a lot of sense. Just I think it's there to upset people and to get people thinking, oh, maybe it won't happen. Maybe the Bucks will win. I don't want to fly to Texas to watch my man Swerve lose for the third time in a row at All In. Let him get a win. I don't. You put him in a tag match with Sting and Darby, a coffin match. That was fun. That was cool. The next year, he gets Bryan Danielson in the main event. Great. The Bucks, I guess the Bucks is supposed to be looked at as something great and awesome. And I'm a fan of the Bucks previously, but post All Out and all that, and just I don't know. It's just the EVP stuff is not my cup of tea, and that's why this needs to go. They need to lose, and that needs to go. Just be wrestlers. Just be you weren't doing all that when y'all were at Forbidden Door 1. Like I think about that show, and the Bucks were so much fun to me, but they weren't doing all that jib jab. Just stop doing the Succession stuff. It's a great show on HBO Max. Y'all are not Succession. Go back to being the Young Bucks. That is my ending rant on this. Hopefully, Swerve and Osprey win that match. But with that being said, yo, those are my thoughts on All in Texas. That's also me reviewing my previous card as well. So comment below about what you think about the video. Let me know. Hit like, hit subscribe. I'm trying to get these channel subscribers back up. I know I've been away for a while, but hey, I'm back, and we're gonna be dropping some more videos later this week. This format has made it easier for me to do it with my hand, and so I'll be dropping a video tomorrow about evolution and the lack thereof when it comes to the card. And so stay tuned for that, y'all. But until the next one, peace and chicken grease.